Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is one of my requested or suggested videos. A lot of you guys have been messaging me through Facebook, Instagram, or through commenting on my previous vlog. So this is it. I will be sharing to you how I became a permanent resident here in Canada. Just 3 months. As a disclaimer, guys, all of the things that I'll be sharing right here is based on my own research or based on the things that I have experienced while processing my own application with the help of the Canada website, as well as joining Facebook groups about spousal sponsorship. And I am not an agent or affiliated to any agencies. Now, there are a lot of ways of becoming a permanent resident here in Canada, and the pathway that I'll be sharing right here is of course based on my status, which is the spousal application. And before we proceed, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell icon so that you'll get notified whenever I post new contents like this. I'll be talking about my process into 3 sections. The processes that I did before starting the application, during the application, and what I did after we submitted our application. So my husband and I were in a long-distance relationship for 3 years, and both of us were working and living in different countries. I was working and living in Saudi Arabia at that time, while he was already here in Canada. His status at first was a working visa, then went to permanent resident visa. When he already got his permanent resident status, the last year of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, we decided to go home in the Philippines to get married. Now, before we got married, I already started collecting all of the necessary documents and proof of our relationship. So one of the things that I prepared and collected before getting married were the proof of our relationship documents. So I started with the conversations that we had through Facebook Messenger. Our means of communication was always Facebook Messenger, whether it would be a phone call or chats. So it was very easy for me to locate and search all our past conversations. So good thing that we're not fan of deleting or blocking each other. You can just easily find all of your past conversations with the dates in it. And imagine it was still 2017, so I really have to look up all of the very first conversations that we had. And all of the conversations, by the way, that I provided was all in Filipino or English language. Each screenshot or conversation, I placed a caption above each box. So the conversations that I included were who initiated, the dinner invites, getting to know stage, and the courting stage. Even not the very good conversations, I also included it because it's normal. It's normal for a couple to fight sometimes, right? I also included all of the call logs, still through Facebook Messenger. That includes the date and the time when we had our video call, and I arranged it from the very first conversation until the latest one. The next proof of relationship documents that I collected were the photos where we had our first date, our getting to know, when we had our courting stage, photos with our friends in Saudi Arabia, photos wherein we were attending a party or a celebration or someone's birthday or someone's wedding, as well as photos wherein we gave gifts with each other. So if in case both of you are fond of giving love letters or love cards, that would also be considered. The photos of our video chats, the photos wherein we celebrated our birthdays while we were in a long distance relationship. I believe in the checklist, you are required to send 20 photos, but personally, I submitted more than 20. It's better to have an excess, just making sure that all of the special events, all of the important details were there. There are more chances that your papers will get returned if they need more important details of you and your husband, rather than submitting more than 20 photos, right? Next proof that I collected were the social media posts. So that would include Facebook or Instagram. It's a very good thing that neither of us are deleting old comments and old posts wherein we tag each other, the comments from our friends and family with the date And lastly, the proof that I collected before we got married are the letters from our mutual friends. Now, since both of us were living at that time in Saudi Arabia, so I did ask them to make a letter for us. So that would include how they witnessed our relationship, how it grew, and of course their contact information, just in case Canada Immigration would want that. So now we'll move on to during. So after getting married, I continued collecting the necessary documents and proof. So that would include the photos during our pre-marriage seminar, photos with our families, our marriage ceremony, and our wedding celebration. One thing that I did with the proof of relationship documents is I also made a summary of our love story, where it all started, how it evolved, and why we chose Canada to settle as a married couple, as a family. I arranged all of those from where it began until we got married. With the photos, I didn't use a photo paper. I just copy and paste it from the social media going to the Word document. And so far, I didn't have any problems with regards to the photos that I sent. I collected, of course, the marriage contract, the marriage certificate, the advisory of marriages, my birth certificate, and my husband's birth certificate. You will be able to get all of those certificates through online, through the PSASERBILIS. All of those documents were around 1,300 to 2,000. The next document that I collected was my NBI clearance. Now, I did this already after the marriage, since NBI clearance is only valid up until 3 months. I also got my police clearance in Saudi Arabia, since Canada Immigration requires us to submit a police clearance to all countries that you have lived in the past 5 years. I also processed my passport. The next thing I did during the application was, of course, filling out all of the forms. So there are forms that are designated for the sponsor, and there are forms that are designated for the principal applicant. So what I did, I just printed and filled out all of the forms that I needed, making sure that all of the details are correct. I kept on reviewing it, kept on updating it, and with the forms, always make sure that you got the updated one. You will be able to find that at the bottom of each page. Some forms, there is a validate button. You can just click that, and once all of the information are correct, it will just generate a barcode. So that means you're good to go. And as well, making sure that all of the signatures are done through handwriting. Just make sure to fill out all of the details using your computer, print it out with a barcode, and sign it physically. And I arrange it according to the checklist. All of the instructions, the checklist, the necessary requirements. There's also a step-by-step guide, so you can always refer all of those details through the Canada website. Now, once I already completed my forms, all of the documents needed for the proof of our relationship, I sent the documents to my husband, which at that time was here in Canada. So I sent all the documents from the Philippines to Canada through LBC. Then my husband printed out all of the documents needed for a sponsor. Once it's done, we had our relatives review it just to make sure if we missed anything. He also went to the immigration center here in our province just to ask advice and just to make sure that all of the documents were completed and nothing was missing. And before we passed our application, of course, he also paid the necessary fees in full. So I believe that was 1,050 Canadian dollars. There's an option for you to not pay in full, but we prefer to pay it in full so that we don't have to think about it. So we sent our application on April 9 of 2021. And on April 12, we received an email from the Canada Immigration that they received our application. So in that email, there was a unique number that was sent. So we used that one to register in the GCKey portal, which you can also find in the Canada website. On May 13, we received an update through the GCKey portal that the Canada Immigration started processing our application. And the next day after that, May 14, so we received the AOR, the medical request, the biometric request, and the sponsor approval letter. So those 4 emails were sent at the same time. Now, at that time, I was about to get my period. So, if you don't know, to avoid altered results in your medical examination, it would be best to have your medical examination after your period. So I waited for 2 weeks for me to be able to have my medical examinations. So on May 28th, I did both the medical request and the biometric request. So the medical examination was in St. Luke's Ermita, and the biometric was the Canada Visa Center in Makati. And if you are interested, I do have another video about that. You can check the link. So on June 12, we received an update through the GCK portal that I passed the medical. I also asked for a personal copy of my medical examination, and it was just sent out to me the next day. I will be posting it also in the description box. On July 2, I received an email. I received the pre-arrival letter. So the letter consists of links on how you get started, how to prepare your life in Canada. And there were a lot of helpful links on that letter. And I believe this is only applicable for permanent resident application. I asked my other friends who were in a student visa application, they were not able to receive this. So yeah. And on July 15, we received the passport request email. During the time when I got my biometric, the Canada Visa Center gave me a list of the documents that I'll be submitting once I'll be receiving the passport request email. So that included my passport, of course, a manager's check, a photo with a required dimension. So just a tip before you have your picture taken, make sure that you take a screenshot of your phone about the photo requirement, because Canada requires a specific dimension of the photo, or print it out. Some photo studios already know what to do, some photo studios still don't know. So just to make sure, just bring the guide. With the manager's check, any bank will do. If you have a personal bank, you can just go to their customer service and request for a manager's check. And lastly, there were also forms that you need to sign. You can also check their website for the forms that you need to sign or to fill out. So I completed all of those in one day. And the next day, on July 16, that was a Friday, I sent out those documents through LBC. On July 22, we received an update through the GCK portal that my application got approved. And 2 days after that, on July 24, I received a package, and that was already the visa as well as the confirmation of permanent residence letter. When I already got the visa and the COPR letter, that was the time that we checked tickets online. And at that time, around August, all of the tickets were very expensive. And I believe that was also because a lot of student visas are flying here in Canada since the school starts by September. So we decided that I'll be flying here in Canada on September. We got the best deal through cheapoair.com. I believe my ticket from Philippines to Canada was 28 to 29,000, and that was the cheapest at that time. So just a tip, if you are flying soon to Canada, the farther the dates, the cheaper the prices are. And if you are interested on my flight day journey, you can also check my other video. So while I was waiting for my flight day, I completed all of my COVID-19 vaccination. I have the Pfizer vaccine. Since we are still in the middle of the pandemic, I would highly recommend to keep yourself updated about the rules and policies of Canada, since Canada always updates their rules and policies from time to time. All of those information are posted in the Canada website. I also collected all of the COEs of my past employers or work experiences. I also processed TOR and diploma. I also had my education assessed through WES. This is just optional. It's still up to you. I opted to have my education assessed. Somehow I still have plans on in furthering my career in Canada. So it's still gonna be up to you. And while waiting for my flight, I practiced how to drive, went to driving school, and got a Philippine driver's license. Driving is one of the essential skills here in Canada. And if you don't know how to drive, you have to go through a 1-year driving course. and I don't want to do that. So, and 3 days before my flight, I got the 72-hour RT-PCR test, and I also got the Japanese certificate. Since I read a lot of stories that some Japanese officers ask for the Japanese certificate, I completed the ArriveCAN application, the life labs, and all of the necessary application needed on my flight. So all of the details are on my previous video. I will also be posting everything in the description box below. I also processed my PDOS certificate online. All you have to do is just pay, fill out the information needed, and you can just print the temporary certificate. The actual certificate, I believe it will be sent out to your address 3 to 6 months. And don't worry, because temporary certificate are acceptable. You will not be able to go out in the Philippines not unless you have the PDO certificate. I believe this is for PR residents who are 18 years old and above. All of the documents needed for my flight, I placed all of it in a clear book. So that would include my itinerary ticket, my 72-hour RT-PCR test with the Japanese translation, my passport, of course, my vaccination card, because you wouldn't be able to travel not unless you have your vaccination card. I also asked a vaccination certificate from the municipality, and I also printed my husband's permanent resident card, front and back, as well as his passport, just in case. The permanent resident application was just 3 months and 2 weeks. But if you would include when I started collecting the documents, the day we got married, as well as the time that I flew already here in Canada, it took almost 1 year for me to complete all of those. Just want to let you know that not everyone got their PR status in just 3 months. It will still be based on how you collected, arranged, completed all of your documents. It's the most stressful process that I had, because you will never know if your papers will get returned or if there are missing documents. And once those happen, you have to start all over again. So the waiting time will be much longer if you have missing documents, if your papers got returned. So that is why you really have to keep yourself updated. You have to review all of the information stated in the Canada website, joining Facebook groups, read other people's journey who went through the same process like you. So you will also know what to avoid, what to do, if you will be able to encounter those situations. And of course, keep on watching vlogs here in YouTube, just like this. And if you're someone who is processing their PR visa application through the spousal sponsorship, I hope your application get approved as soon as possible, because being in a long distance relationship is not easy, especially now that we are still in pandemic. I know how it feels. You get frustrated most of the time. You question yourself most of the time. If you really want this, if you have questions, video suggestions that you want to hear from me, please leave a comment down below. And if you want more contents like this, moving and living abroad, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell button so that you'll get notified whenever I post new contents like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!